Okay. So it seems we're a good mix of people from learning space providers, from libraries, and from the publishing sector. Nice. So basically, this project started with Katja and me meeting on a conference in Hamburg. That was, I think, 2 years ago. And she was holding a presentation on learning space and learning space design. And at that point, she was always stressing how this topic always involves so many stakeholders and how it's sometimes difficult to bring in together all these different perspectives and stakeholder groups. And then I told her about Booksprints and how we actually facilitate writing books together with different stakeholders and across many disciplines. And that's when she said we should really work together. And I was super surprised because she was a truly book sprinter, because the time she took to call me up and say we should do this project was super fast. So her and Bettina actually got the funding super fast, and an amazing group of authors together, which we know from experience is not easy. And then she reached out to Steelcase, who are a learning and working space provider, who actually designed a pop-up lab for us that supported the collaborative nature of the Booksprint. So that was really, for us, also as the Booksprint team, a super unique experience. And she actually managed, well, they, Bettina and Katja, managed to find a publisher, which is Waxmann Verlag, who agreed to publish the book without a single page being written, which is also unique. So hands up to all of you. I would like to introduce Katja Niemann, Veronika Taube, and Melanie Völker, and we will share a few of our insights on this project from the different perspectives involved. And I would like to ask Katja to start with.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here today and to meet you all again from the Booksprint. It has been a long time, and it feels like it's like centuries ago because of the last couple of months with the Corona pandemic. And it was a very special moment meeting you there in the beginning of March. It was just a couple of days before the big worldwide lockdown happened due to the Corona pandemic. But this book is exactly about what's happening now. We were writing a book, a manifest about hybrid environments, and that wasn't because of the Corona things that happens around, but before that we already had a lot of things to discuss within the topic of learning spaces, because this is a field that's has a lot of challenges to handle with. We have to think about sustainability aspects. We have to think about new technologies we have to integrate into learning and teaching settings. And that's why we created this idea to create a special learning space or learning place where experts from very different disciplines can meet and work together. 5 days completely dive into a different world to meet, discuss, and work on this topic. So we managed it to bring 9 people from 4 different countries together at a place at the Technical University in Berlin at a hybrid lab for 5 days. So we've got guests from the Netherlands, from Finland, from Sweden, and from Germany. And all these experts come from very different disciplines. They come from the social sciences, they come from architecture, landscape architecture, real estate, urban real estate management, and we all met and discussed the aspect of hybrid learning environments from very different perspectives, each from its own discipline. And the idea was not just to present the already existing research results we've got or experiences we have in that field in our daily practice, but to bring it together and merge it and bring out something new. So in this process, and we didn't know what was happening within these 5 days. So it was very exciting getting to know these people, because some of them we met before, some of them we met there for the first time. ever, and it was very exciting to meet you all there and to work together. And it was in the beginning of the first days, it was very, a big discussion about on what kind of topics we will focus, on what kind of readers we will focus, what topics we want to talk about, and what kind of aspects we have to merge together and to create something new. So this manifest is about how to create innovative and sustainable learning environments. And that's what we do need exactly now in that time, as we already experience a very special environment we are living, we're working together. So what we experience is that we do need different processes within creating these spaces. We need different contributors who take part of these processes. That's all about what we were written in this very short time, this very intense week we've got together with Potsdam.
Okay, thank you, Katja. As I said earlier, with this topic in mind and with a group of authors that you gathered together, you reached out to Steelcase to think about a space to align topic and format that could support the collaborative nature of the sprint. And so I would like to hand over to Veronika, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you came up with the space design.
Yes, yeah. So thank you very much. So my name is Veronika. So we had the chance to be part on this creative format for book sprint. So Katja came to us and said we have this special format at the TU Hybrid Lab, for a special amount of people for a special time, 5 days. So and in a special environment. So we had this existing space, and the goal was really to create this, as you mentioned earlier, this collaborative, agile and highest flexible space for this group in this time and for this existing space. So the challenge was here to involve already the existing environment. So it was one big room. We also maybe can share after this also some pictures that you see the space. It was one big room with pillars, with existing furniture already inside. And you can hear and see everything, but the idea and the goal was to create different islands within this room for different settings, for different purposes. So we developed together with TU Berlin and Katja together really a landscape of different zones, dimensions. So one zone for concentrative work, focus work, one zone for collaborative work in a group, or also networking and socializing. So we divided this big whole room into different zones. But we also tried to use for each zone different dimensions or categories. And this dimension I really would like to highlight, because this is one thing how you can reach the one of the highest flexibility for this room, for these different purposes. So one thing of this dimension was the size of people, because we had for the group and for the focus work from individual up to a small group of people up to the whole group of people, when everybody comes together. So we have different sizes of people, group size. The other element was we played with fixed and mobile elements. So we put in the room fixed elements what are really stable and fixed at the same position. But on the other side, we also used mobile elements, so desk and chairs on wheels, what are really easily to move around and to create a setting in a really fast way. The other thing was the posture. So often you have workshops or meetings in a sitting position. You sit on your chair, on your desk, that's it. But we really would like to play also with the posture. So we created also standing high positions, and on the other side, lounge positions. So we had a variety of postures from sitting, standing, up to lounge environments. So this was, I would say, dimension number 3. One of the most important dimension, and what also you as a participant told us after this, was the analog and the digital environment, the tools. So we used analog environments. We used small whiteboards, like this size, which you really easily move around. You can write down, you can pin something, you use it as a magnetic, whatever. So you use it really as for brainstorming to create the process for your book in a small way, in a mobile way, also on the wall in a fixed version. So really to write down with a pen on something, with a touchable thing in the hand. This is the analog part, but on the other side, it was also really important to create, because there was no technology in the room before, to create this digital environment. So we also put 2 mobile big screens into the room, also on casters and wheels, so you can really move around and use it for video conferencing, because you mentioned some of the people were not able to be physically in this space this time because of the starting COVID situation. So they could attend online, so they were in the room. They can actually collaborate with the rest of the group, or you can share content. So this was the combination really of the analog and the digital, and I think this was also one of the most important things for this collaboration. And another thing was the level of transparency, because as I mentioned, it was one big room, and we tried to create different levels of transparency. So this means from really open to semi-open, up to a closed or like a cocooning feeling within this room, that you have the feeling, okay, I have some type of privacy in this big room. And last but not least, one of the from my perspective, one of the important things is the factor of well-being. So there was, it was before a white and gray room, and we tried to involve really a mix of different colors, materials, wood, fills, different surfaces, to really create this well-being environment, that the people have the feeling, okay, I will be here, and I would like to collaborate, and it's nice, and I have also the chance to have some snacks and drinks. There was a tiny kitchen already included, so we involved also this area for a social network hub, to have the chance to collaborate with the colleagues there. So well-being is one of the final and most important things. So I think this was the success factor. And after this, we moved the whole setting after these 5 days to the TU Berlin library. So now they have also the chance to now again, because it was closed, the library for some months for testing and piloting. So they can use this whole setting now for the library at the TU Berlin.
Thank you, Veronika. As this feels a little bit like an old, class meeting, I have a photo album, so that what you just said can be supported a little bit by visuals. So this was the main room where we're in, with all this movable furniture, with a lot of whiteboards and different sizes, and very important also the electronic devices that helped us to integrate our 2 virtual participants. And then also those areas where people could work in the room and be still concentrate by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah.
And then let me see. So these are all the whiteboards that we used extensively. Like, people really kind of like a kitchen plate. They took, all their ingredients, took it to the next room, prepared everything, and then for presenting it back to the plenary, they would come with those. So they were super helpful for the process. We had huge whiteboards filled with a lot of Post-its at the start of the sprint. So that was very helpful. And so here you can also, in the back, different things to put our personal stuff or belongings. And these were all movable, so they were actually not, could also help us to kind of shape subsections of the room.
Right.
And
I think here's also one picture with the, exactly, with the mobile elements. So where one of your colleagues can attend, right?
Yeah, that's the group of authors that came together, and the facilitators. So me and Barbara Rühling, who's also here with us, and with Juliana Secchi, we were the 3 facilitators of that book sprint. And we're a lovely little company from New Zealand. Our headquarters are in Berlin. And as mentioned earlier, our service is that we help groups of 10 to 15 authors to collaboratively write a book that is at the same time produced. We have a remote book production team of copy editors, designers, and illustrators. So actually, while the book is written, it's also being produced, and that's what makes up the speed. And so we all know that collaborative projects where a lot of brilliant minds come together, they need to kind of demarcate a certain field of knowledge, come up with a consensus, and then find a collective voice to write it down. So all this happens through a very iterative process, by writing and editing and rewriting and re-editing all and all over again. So all the pieces of the book actually run through 3 to 4 hands. It's not that in the beginning you come up with a structure and then each one says, okay, this is my part, see you next week. It is really a lot about starting to draft and then reaching a pain point where you have to get loose of this idea of my text, move it into the hands of your peers and trust them that they will help you or the whole book to become something that each one can put their name below. And so in the end, actually, each one has drafted or edited all the parts of the book, and the same with illustrations. So our book designers and illustrators come up with design ideas that are shown to the participants, and they can then edit or iterate on it. And this is how we can actually manage to facilitate something that doesn't end up in a lot of post-its and the pure discussion, but actually in what people like the desired outcome, which is a copy edited and illustrated book that was collaboratively written. It was a very nice group to work with. Usually also what is part of the facilitators is also moderate not only discussions and the workflow itself, but also the dynamics in the room. It is a very strenuous process. It takes a lot of work. We have very, very long hours and a high pressure environment. Under these circumstances, we all act differently or react very individually. And so it's also the facilitator's job to kind of elevate different tensions in the room and basically try to prevent any obstacles to collaboration. As I'm saying, it was a very nice group to work with. Thank you for that once more. If you have any questions on that, I mean, we will share the recording, but also a few more links if you're interested. Also, you can, of course, sign in for our newsletter, all these things. We will share it after the webinar. And of course, you can ask questions, but for now, I want to hand over to Melanie Völker, because they actually then they were the ones trusting the most because we then handed the book files to them and they were the publishers. So Melanie, I want to hand over to you and hear about, from your side or from your perspective, how did the book sprint go for you?
Hi, thanks for having me. Well, I am Melanie Völker from Waxmann Publishing, and I've been working at the publishing house for some 17 years as a lecturer, so quite experienced in my field, but this was something new, and I was very happy when Katja, who used to be a Waxmann author already, she contacted us, and when she told us about the book project, we said, well, this topic would fit perfectly well, and I was very curious to hear about what a book sprint is like, and this was, as it was new to us, we thought about it, and then it was that a few weeks later I met Barbara Rühling at the Frankfurt Book Fair, and there she presented the book sprint in a slot, and I took the chance to talk to her, and it was very nice to see both opinions, the one from the author and the one from book sprint, and we thought about it at Waxmann. And since many authors come to us and say, well, collaborative writing is more important, it is getting more and more important. And on the other hand, also the interdisciplinary cooperation, that you have a look at where is somebody else working on a similar topic, just from a different point of view, and how can we connect these people. And as a publisher, it is not just my job to publish books, that is one thing, but one service we provide is to help authors work together. And since these cooperations are getting more and more important, I was so very, very curious and happy that we had the chance to take part in this project. And of course, there were some things we couldn't expect or wouldn't know how they would end up. But we said, well, this is a chance. And since networking is so much more important, we decided, okay, we will do this. We try to organize these things and bring authors together, for example, at conferences. But in these days, it's more and more difficult, of course. But so nevertheless, it was a good chance for us. So I would like to tell you a few things about how we work. Of course, you say you have the book ready within 5 days, but still, since it has been very, very well prepared, we still think as a publisher there are some things that are necessary in the back end, and these are different things. For example, we have a typesetter who made the real galley proofs in the end. We had our own copy editing, and there are also some technical issues that we think are important to add. So the things you prepare at Booksprint, where you work with professionals, they do not really supersede the services of a publisher. So the process of how we work is that we got a very, very well prepared, manuscript. We gave it to the typesetter, and the typesetter, he prepared the galley proofs. In the first step, I went through the galley proofs and added my own corrections, my questions I had, and I sent the proofs to Katja, who, together with the authors, decided, okay, she answered to my questions where I found some things were illogical or whatever, or something was missing, or something was, not like standardized according to certain, standards we have in the discipline, for example. Then she could add her own corrections, remarks, whatever, and she sent the proofs back to us. And the typesetter, he made all the corrections, and then I checked everything if it was okay, and then Katja got the proofs once again. So we went through our standard copy editing, and then since there are so many people working together from different disciplines, and then you have some standards you want to meet, not just from a certain discipline, since the main discipline in this case was of course education, but also some standards we have. For example, if we want to produce a book open access, which is very important in this case, especially if you work interdisciplinary. So you have some standards you have to meet, some requirements to make a really good open access book. And these things, in order to meet these requirements, we work together with the typesetter. And there were also some technical issues, just minor issues, but nevertheless they are quite important to check. So these were the final things we did to the proofs. And in the end, we were happy to have competent partners for marketing from Booksprint, because I think whenever you have a cooperation, this increases coverage. Because we, as a publisher, we reach the academic audience, libraries, for example, but also we attend conferences. We have contacts to all the stakeholders in the academic sphere. But then Booksprint has other opportunities. So, and the authors have their own channels. So I think it is very important to work together cooperatively. So for us, as a resume, it was a very interesting experience, and I've been talking to many other authors about this, and also to well, other people in the academic, for example, colleagues from other publishing houses. And we think this is a very interesting approach, and I think it's a good thing to bring people together. And yeah, so we were very happy to take part in this, and for us it was a successful story. So
thank you very much, Melanie. Yeah, thanks everyone for sharing and running us through this process. Of course, the book is out, and it can be downloaded from Waxmann's website. I'm going to share it in the link. Katja's already holding it up. And I'm sharing the link in the chat. So there, the books can be downloaded for free or ordered at Waxmann Verlag. Da, 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 da. And so I would like to take the last 15 minutes that we have to open for a Q&A from the participants, but also ask our authors who are with us. So today we have Suvi, Katja, Bettina, Alexandra, and Christian with us, who have been with us in the sprint. Maybe as an opening question for the Q&A, I would like to know, first of all, Kerstin is also there, nice. First of all, how was your experience as someone from academic writing? And how actually did your peers, how was the book received from your peers? Are you using it at the time? So basically what happened to the book since it is out there? Okay, so Suvi, Katja, Bettina, Alexandra, Christian, Kerstin, maybe some of you would start, and then the others can of course put their questions in the chat and we will post them. Okay, who would like to go first?
Well, I can do. Hi, I'm Suvi Nenonen from Finland, working in University Properties of Finland, and also working in university as docent in Tampere and Turku. So from the experience, I would like to really say hello again to everyone, and it's like a lovely reunion this way, and history in the way, because it was the end of old normal after that. And what's coming to the use of the book, I think that it is here just next to my computer when working from home mostly, and having very stable fixed desk nowadays, which wasn't the case when I was working in the campus. But anyways, it has been a lot in use. I'm working a lot in campus development in different campuses in Finland, and this hybrid environment is really the thing now. So I have been many times thinking that how did we know everything beforehand? So this has been in huge use, because I think that the crisis of corona is not stronger or weaker than crisis of climate. And we had a big sustainability perspective in our writing. And I think this is really the thing what we are doing now in campus development. So I have been spreading this around and using it really in practice. Many of my colleagues have been saying that this is readable, this is nice, this is easy to access, and the personas what we created, they can recognize themselves from there.
Nice. Thank you, Suvi. Any others? Comments from the other authors?
Well, I can comment. Also very good seeing you all again. Indeed, it has been a weird semester, so we're just picking up, but I've shared the link to the book to a lot of people, but also to the European University Association. So I have written a couple of columns about Corona and hybrid environments, and sometimes you cannot really know how many people download or go to the website. So maybe Waxmann can say something about how many times the page was visited, because it's really hard to keep track, of course, and if it's freely downloadable, how many people are interested. But I certainly hear a lot of good feedback. Today we've talked to 40 new students again who are picking up their graduation. So we've put it on the website, on their websites. Our campus research team, of course, I'm leading it, so I made all of them read it. So, and they all knew about my experience of the 5-day writing process, which I would also very much recommend to any academic team, because God knows how long it takes to finish a book in a normal setting. You know, I had a few almost finished books, and they're still not finished after a year, and this was finished in 5 days. So it's really a good advertorial for academia. So I made sure to spread that news, as well as the content of the book. I spread the method as a successful method to my colleagues. So compliments also for the support of Booksprints. Yes.
Thanks, Alexandra. Okay.
If I can answer to that, I'm sorry, I'm not so well prepared. I've only just sent an email to my colleague if he can check the download numbers, but I guess that won't be enough, because we also provide repositories, directory of open access books, and all these things with the PDF file, of course. And but I will collect all the download figures we have, and I will send them to probably best to Katja, and she will send them further to the authors. Would that be fine? Okay.
Very nice. Would be very interesting to know, you know, Big
Yes,
Brother
yes.
is watching you in how many clicks. Yes.
Yes, we of course we think it is a pity to not to have the conferences. So actually this is a good opportunity for us to present the book, and there we have the immediate contact to the authors, and we can talk about the thing, and we can say something. And this is always something different than if you get the information via social media. So I really miss the conferences, because this is such a great thing. And if you have, for example, in education, you have the European Conference on Educational Research, which would have taken place just now this week, and they have a slot on how do you work, and how can you work, how does educational research work, and how can you work together digitally or analog or whatever. And I think it's a very good opportunity to present these things there. And so maybe next year the conference will take place, maybe digitally or however, but we will try to talk about it. And it is very, very important to do these things. So probably there will be other ways and more ways to make people aware of this kind of collaboration.
Yes.
Thank you. Amor, you're raising a hand, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm raising my hands because I'm very curious about how you're going to apply this experience into this education world and hybrid environment. I think this is a perfect experience to be shared into those universities, into those students and educators. In 5 days, you can do some things you have never thought about. So this COVID-19 has accelerated or has been a catalyst for you guys to produce this book, and how you're going to apply this in this education world. So that's my question.
Who wants to take over on that question?
Yeah, this was actually just the start where we're thinking about our concept is bringing together research or experts in practice from different disciplines, from different nationalities, with different backgrounds, and then bring it together and then spread it again, so everyone can bring it in its own community, in its own national environment, and to students, to colleagues, to other peers you're talking about. So we're using this kind of workshops now. We are going to online conferences just to spread these ideas. We've gathered, and I hope we will stay in contact with this group, maybe in the bigger context, just to keep on track with this topic, because it's urgent. We need more exchange about new research questions, because we couldn't answer any, not really the things, but we could mention what challenges do we have, what things we have to keep on track, what things we have to keep on working. So that's the idea, just to build up a network and keep on going. Maybe just the starting point. But we need to connect, we need a network that's missing, especially in the European community.
Yeah, coming from Asia, I mean, I'm European, but I'm living in Asia for 13 years now. And this is definitely a hybrid environment or blended learning environment is a key things currently. Tomorrow we have a panel discussion with Microsoft Education Asia Pacific and Steelcase Education Asia Pacific to talk about hybrid environment. And I would love to share this example you have just shared today. So it's going to be a perfect topic or open question for tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm glad that participate is timely, on time, and would love, of course, to read the book. I've downloaded it, but I haven't read the book yet.
Yeah, actually, that's quite an interesting question, Veronica. I know maybe you can answer that. We've been on site, and everyone is kind of not only teaching, but also the whole process is like book sprints has been gone virtual now. We're thinking about hybrid process facilitation, but how about the space itself, like the working and learning space, from a space provider perspective, like what actions are you addressing now?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because we have the same challenge. So of course, most of the people are working from home now and also learning and teaching from home. But we see the developing as a hybrid environment. So our workshops and also our conferences, online conferences, we still plan our online conference for December this year in Germany. So, and it will be a hybrid version. So there will be the chance to be physically there at this place, the people who are locals, who are living there, who are not traveling so fast and so long. But there will be also the option to attend online from all over the world, from Asia, from US, from Germany, Europe, wherever. So there will be this hybrid environments in learning and working spaces, for sure. We see this, and of course we need to create spaces for this, because most of the spaces in the past were for physics and be present there, but now we need really the mix. And as I mentioned, the online and digital environment needs to come more together. Not only the focus only on digital and online. I think the mix, the hybrid version and the hybrid environments, this is most of the things what's necessary now and what we need to create.
Thank you, Veronica. Meanwhile, there was a little discussion in the chat. So Katrin Flor asked if students had been involved in the revision process as probably the target readers also of this book. And no, they haven't been. Katja already answered that question. And maybe a brief remark about the process itself. So when we do the book sprint, the first day is not only about structuring the content, but actually doing a lot about creating personas. So the readers that we have in mind and intend to write to, and then creating sort of reader journeys, so that we don't write the book from the perspective of the content. This is what I know, I want you to know, but rather, okay, if we want to address that person, what do they need to know? And what are actually their main objectives by taking that book into their hands? So yeah, so working with personas is part of the book sprints process, but actually now that we're also opening up for hybrid more, also within the process, we realized that belief sentences we had earlier, like remote participation wouldn't work in a book sprint. Damn, we had to do it. And then now we're doing virtual book sprints, and it took us like 1 or 2 months to transfer just because of this need, and we simply had to do it. And the same with involving external participants or target readers into the process is something we're experimenting with. And I'm not saying doors open, now we're kind of making it all different, but slowly experimenting with the edges of what we've been doing previously. It's like really questioning our own workflows and adapting them to this new, rather virtual environment. Maybe Christian, I mean, you've been our, our first virtual book sprints participant. I guess it was quite hard because you've been the only one who has not been with us in the room. Whereas when we do virtual book sprints, all the people are online. How was that for you?
Right, I was the guinea pig and the odd man out, or else I was the pioneer. It's really, Katja said in the beginning how this feels like it was ages ago and it's just a couple of months, but everything's changed. I mean, that was the old normal and we were right on the cusp of it in the beginning of March. And I mean, I was terribly disappointed not to make it, not being allowed to travel. And then, you know, looking at it now, that was just the first test of what it's going to be from now on. I mean, we ourselves, as the co-committer said, we have to do more with less and we have to be more sustainable. Well, that clearly involves traveling less and collaborating in different forms. And still, as we said many a times during the process, we have to collaborate. You have to bring in multiple perspectives and disciplines to solve these complex problems. It's the only way forward.
Thanks, Christian. As I'm looking at the time, I think what you just said is a super nice wrap up of the topics that brought us here and the challenges that we currently face with transferring it to the real hybrid spaces. So thanks for wrapping it up in this way. I would like to thank everyone who came and joined us. Special thanks to all the people who joined us in this project. The authors who've been writing the book. I'm still around here to answer the final questions. Just for those, I know some of you have appointments and they have to go. I would call it a great webinar and a nice re-meet with you. Thanks, everyone. Hands up to you. And I'm still hanging around for the final questions. There have been a few questions in the chat. But for now, thanks, everyone. And have a great day. And I will send an email to everyone, just so you know, with a recording of the webinar, with a few more links where we send you more information about the different parties and stakeholders involved. And of course, the link that has been in the chat with the book and everything, we'll also send it out for you. Okay. As I said, there was some questions in the chat. So the one was, one second. There was a conversation between Alexandra and Ambra. So it's really about organized focus as much as the hybrid environment. So distractions are the enemy of academic production. So again, I guess we're here at a point where we talk about this alignment of space, process, and content. Yeah. And how, I think this is why this project actually is quite a nice example how those came together to form this project. Question for Christian was answered. Blended learning combines the best. There was a question, what's the difference between hybrid and blended learning spaces? Maybe again, from the different perspectives, because space is anything than just physical. It is digital, but it's also social. It's also processual. So maybe we can answer that question. Who would like to start? What is the difference between hybrid or blended?
I've already answered it.
Yeah.
The hybrid is more focused on spatial aspects, and the blended is on the learning process.
Okay. That brings it to the point. Okay, I didn't see that you've already answered it. Okay, any more questions from your side? Anything that you would still like to pose to the people still remaining in the webinar?
I would like to thank you, Karina. And I would like to thank Melanie and Veronica and Alexandra, Sophie, Bettina, Christian, everyone who were part of this really unprecedented experience. And we've managed it. We've got the book in our hands. I'm very proud of it. I'm using it every day, looking at, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all again in other settings, in another world, in a different world. We will see. I hope to see you soon back, all of you.
Yeah, Thanks so much, everyone. And of course, you can always reach out. I will also send the contacts. So if you have specific more questions for Veronika from Steelcase or Melanie from Waxmann Verlag, or Bettina from TU, or Katja Ninnemann, or all the authors of the books, you can reach out to the four of us, and we will try to answer or get you in contact with the person answering that question. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
So many nice discussions.